searching for someone who can share that special love with me. And your eyes have that glow. Could it be your face I see on my computer screen? I need a special girl here in my computer world. I no longer need astrology. Thanks to modern technology. Shoot-a-bop, shoot-a-bop, I wanna love you. Shoot-a-bop, baby. Shoot-a-bop, shoot-a-bop, I wanna love you. Shoot-a-bop, my computer. You know I've been around, from hot sexy mamas to cool prima donnas. I wanna share your treasure, oh so rare. Cause it's your face I see on my computer screen. Won't you keep me warm tonight? Such a sweet delight. I will cherish the memory of this night. Yes, I found my computer.
KBLA Talk 1580, taking you back a little bit. Excited about this conversation. She's an entrepreneur and a viral content creator turned activist. She's known for using her expertise in digital platforms to drive social change. That's what I call computer love. She's most notably recognized for using the HTML code to uncover and expose corporations profiting from racism and leveraging technology and social media to drive real-world accountability. Kiandria Demone, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Can you hear me okay?
You sound great. Yeah, thanks for
Okay, great.
Thanks for joining us. I've been tracking your work a little bit and just cheering from afar because I find so many times things happen online and in the social media space, and it seems like there's just no accountability and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right. I think that a lot of people have been feeling that way. That's like a general consensus. That's one of the things I hate and that I'm adamant about speaking out about is not to be defeated. There's always something you can do.
You sound like a conversation we just had a little earlier on the show, that really being discouraged and defeated, it may be worse than, maybe the worst thing that we can face, because then we just give up.
I agree.
So let's talk a little bit about you before we get into this Shiloh Hendricks madness. You're a coder. You're what we call black in the tech space.
Correct. I actually come from a marketing background, so I've been doing marketing pretty much my entire career, and web development is an essential piece of marketing, so that's where I came about coding. Honestly, I'm a millennial, so I've been coding since MySpace, but doing it professionally came from my marketing background. I would have clients, if we're offering full-fledged like branding solutions or creative advertising, updating their website is usually a huge part of that as well. So that's where my experience with code came from. But my primary experience is like marketing, the psychology of the customer, and creative advertising.
Okay, that makes sense. That's why your personal branding is so tight. But nevertheless, I know many a publicist and marketing executive who doesn't know the first thing about coding, and they will just farm that out. They'll contract it out to somebody.
Right.
And also there's this kind of stereotype or maybe the reality of the unwelcoming space for not just Black people, but particularly for Black women in tech.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I can say that not just being in marketing in the age of social media is essentially the use of technology, right? These days, you can't do marketing without social media, and you cannot navigate social media without having some sort of, skill in technology, right? So I think that they've become fused essentially. So a lot of people who are in the marketing space right now do have tech backgrounds or they have tech experience. I can say that it is a male dominated field. It is a white male dominated field. And that's something that I've experienced my entire career. So I founded the first ever social media marketing agency in the state of Alabama. So in
Wow.
Alabama, yeah, I was in, that's something I'm super proud of. And it's relevant because it contributed to, I think everything I've been through has led me to this point because I was the first person in Alabama to say, hey, I'm going to do marketing, but I'm not going to go door to door. I'm not going to do the flyers and all of that. All this budget we have, I figured out, I'm like, I'm reaching thousands of people on Facebook. So why don't I just start doing the marketing on Facebook and then Instagram? So I had a lot of doors closed in my face starting out in Alabama. I had people actually laugh at me like, huh, you're going to do all my marketing on Facebook. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So I powered through that and my agency.
Sounds funny
Yeah,
now.
I
I mean,
did.
it does, right?
It does, right? Right. And I can say this, that business did not last the digital age. So the business, I remember the specific man, it was a white man who sat in my face and laughed at me. And I always tell that story, and his store is not there anymore. He had a vape shop, and it was a big business in the area because this is small town Alabama. And he's like, huh, you're going to do all my marketing on Facebook? What do I need to do that for? I got the only vape shop in whatever, 5-10 miles, right? Now, fast forward less than 5 years later, guess what? Vape shop, vape shop, vape shop, vape shop on every corner as that industry started to boom. And his store is no longer there, and other people have normalized using social media to do
Yeah.
their marketing.
So, what kinds of things have you encountered as far as the pushback on being a woman or being a black person in the tech space?
One of the things I was really well known for in marketing was I'm known for like animation and my graphics, right? So I became really well known as a creator who could reach a black audience. So I've connected with a lot of bigger brands. I've worked with a lot of bigger brands. I've worked with your Chevron, Shell, Dunkin' Donuts. I was a creator for campaigns for them, and I was known for being able to reach a black audience with my graphics. So my graphics were clean, polished, very professional. But then I would do something like put a trap beat in the background, right? And it blew their minds. It blew their minds how well it fused together. And I would always get people telling me like, it just worked. Somehow it just worked. And I would have to explain to people, that's because we are not monoliths. Black people, we are multi-layered beings. I can be a professional. I can wear my suit, my pantsuit, and I can go into my office and I can play juvenile on the way there. There are people who exist like that, and they they have valuable dollars, right? So essentially, black creators like me came in. I want to say in like not the early 2000s, maybe around like 2016 up until like 2020. So we came in and helped to diversify marketing in retail. So a lot of these companies that you see now, they'll use graphics, they'll use trap beats. It's very inclusive. Marketing was not as inclusive in retail before people like me came along. So one of the things I experienced as far as pushback was not even just pushback. I experienced a lot of people taking advantage of me and my creativity to reach the black audience. I experienced a lot of that. It was almost like I spoke this secret language that these white men, they couldn't speak, but they wanted our black dollars, right? They got to a point where they saw the value. They're like, hey, we want black dollars. These women, they're buying the makeup. They're buying the clothes. That's the
Right.
type of stuff I did marketing for. They're buying the makeup. They're buying the clothes. They're buying the food, but we're not reaching them. I think the only one at the time I saw doing it successfully was McDonald's. But people who work for companies like that, they're very exclusive in that space, right? You can't get a hold of their creators. So a lot of them would freelance, like hire me as a freelancer to essentially reach a black audience for them. And I saw a lot of my creativity taken advantage of. And this is a kicker that happened to me. Even from a black company, I would see people come in and have me give them the keys and give them the blueprint, and they would fire me and take that same blueprint, and take it to a white agency full of 30-year-old white men and try to have them duplicated.
Yeah.
That's more than pushback. That's what I saw. I saw people stealing from me.
More than pushback, it was pimping.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
Kiandria Demone, I mean, like I said, when we come forward, I want to talk about, how you have found a way to hold some of these folks that are raising money for white supremacists and racists online accountable. It's remarkable, and I hope that people will copy that, not just copy your designs. But I have to ask you this before we do that. How did you learn? I mean, how did you learn coding? How did you learn marketing? How did you get yourself proficient in these areas where we're constantly being told as Black women we don't belong and we don't have natural talent?
That's a good question. A lot of it I got like in college, a formal education, and a lot of it was self-taught, just being determined to do it on my own. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
As far as coding, like I said, I started that. Honestly, we started coding back in MySpace days. That was if you were going to put up a website of any sort, you had to learn how to do that. So that's where I was first introduced to it. And then in college, I studied some marketing. I studied some creative advertising and graphic design. So I learned the technical side of it there. But what a lot of people don't understand is the technical side, that can be taught. It's your critical thinking skills that make a huge difference, whether it's coding, design, or anything like that. So that's something that I think I just honed on my own. It was really self-taught, like just learning how to get in there and find the problem, fix the problem, being determined, doing it in a different way. A lot of it was self-taught. But I will say, I won't pretend like, I just locked myself up in a room with YouTube. No, I went to college, and that's where I learned web development. And a lot of it was in the professional field as well through experience. So when I started my own agency, I just had to learn how to do a lot of it, because you can't, when you're starting your own, like, grassroots agency, when you're like essentially bootstrapping in an industry that does not accept you or respect you as a competitor, you're kind of forced to learn those things so that you could excel at them. And one of the things that pushed me after going to college and learning, I guess, kind of a novice or a basic level of coding and graphic design, really, I polished it myself through experience, because I knew that as a Black woman, if I was going to compete in this space, I had to not only meet, but exceed everything that they were doing. And I remember what pushed me to polish it more and to study more and to work more, because like I said, it was just self-taught through experience, repetitive, doing it over and over and over again until it was absolutely perfect, whether that was graphic design, animation, marketing campaigns, running ads, whatever that looked like. I would be so hyper-focused on getting better at it, because when I saw people copying me, this is funny, but I don't know if it's hard to explain, but I'll try. So one of the things that inspired me was I saw when people started copying me, and I was really insulted. I was really angry about that, because they're stealing my work, right? They're stealing my creativity. Mm-hmm. They're stealing a part of me, a part of my heart and soul that came from me, that I created into something tangible for you. I don't like when people steal that. I don't think imitation is flattering. I think it's annoying. So I was really bothered by that, and I saw a interview that Little Richard did. Incidentally, Little Richard did an interview, and he talked about how people were copying his music. Back in the day, they were copying his sound, copying his music, and he said that was the reason for him speeding it up. That was the reason for his lyrics and his notes. He would do notes that were difficult. He would sing so fast that they could not emulate him, right? And I saw that interview, and I'm like, he knows something, right? I'm like, he's onto something. And I took that same like frame of mind. I took that same perspective and I applied it to my career. And I said, I'm going to be so good. I'm going to be so unique. My work is going to be so outstanding. You cannot possibly emulate me. All you can be is a knockoff. So that's what pushed me to polish my own skills. So even though I got an education, so a college education, I want to say that it's very important. Don't listen to the people telling you it's not valuable. It is. You learn very valuable skills there. But after I got that education, I pushed myself to perfect it, because I knew who I was in this space, and I knew I couldn't just compete. I had to beat them. I had to be lapping them, right? Like at this point, you can't even catch up to me to emulate me.
And Kiandria Demone is my guest. You remember the story about the lady, Shiloh Hendricks, who called the 5-year-old kid the N-word, and then raise money, still raising money, off of that incident. Well, Kiandria took her on. We'll hear about that story when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number because Ray, he's going to text it live, and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, and today you're waking up with me and Kiandria Demone, who is doing big things in the digital space, obviously in her own business profile. And you could have just said, hey, I'm successful at marketing and coding and all of these things, so I'm just going to go make my money. But you have a commitment to justice and stopping hate. So let's talk about this Shiloh Hendricks situation. This is a woman who, I don't know how much she actually ended up raising, hundreds of thousands of dollars after she went viral for calling a baby, a 5-year-old, an autistic 5-year-old, the N-word. She was on a platform called Give, Send, Go. And tell me how this came to your attention and what you decided to do.
So one of the things I'm known for by my audience on social media is calling out and exposing people for racism, right? So I'm kind of a troll, to be completely honest, and I'm pretty good at it, right? So that's the audience that I've built. You know, at least I'm using it for good.
Yes.
But I'm really not to be played with at all. I'm the type of person you just don't want to back and forth with me, right? So I've honed that skill, and I've used it for something positive. So anytime somebody, either I experience or somebody brings it to my attention, I feel like these days there's just such ugliness in our face. Like, these racists are not trying to hide it anymore until you put them on blast. So I'm one of those creators that will put them on blast. I will post about it. I will drag them. I will troll them. And we will pretty much collectively taunt them until they retreat. Either they apologize, or some of them just outright leave the internet. Like, I've seen people delete their entire online existence after that, right? So we hold them accountable. That's what I've been doing for a long time on my social media, is just holding racists and abusers. Now, it's not limited to racism. Abusers, racists, which I feel like racism is a form of abuse. I'm known for holding those people accountable, right? So there was the situation happened with the woman in the park who called the baby the N-word, and people brought it to my attention hoping that I was about to do that, hoping that I was going to troll her. They're like excited, like, ooh, I know this is going to be good. You know, I know we're about to drag her, right? They're like, let us get ready for the dragging. And I sat on it for a couple of days because it wasn't funny to me. It wasn't something that I could turn into one of those moments. I didn't want it to just be a social media moment where we're teasing and taunting her. You know what I mean? I didn't think that was enough. I really wanted to do something about it. So instead of posting about it and turning it into an internet spectacle, I wanted to actually file a complaint. Let's look into this company. You know, people were saying we've reported it to this company. They won't take it down. What can we do? So initially I was just thinking I was going to do that, right? I'm looking at their website. I kind of went in a rabbit hole because I was so hurt by even seeing it happening. I went down this rabbit hole just searching their site, their social media, looking up everything I could about it. And I started thinking about their compliance and their website. Again, my background as a web developer and a business owner had me thinking well, maybe there's something I can find that can get this website shut down or to where they can't keep operating, right? And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? They're just going to fix it. That's not going to be enough. Whatever I do is not going to be enough. So we have to find a different route. And I'm like, who do we hold accountable? They're going after this woman. This woman went into hiding. You know, she wasn't really saying anything. They're going after the platform, the crowdfunding platform, and they're doubling down and they're, defending her. But then I thought about it and I said, this platform is not the bank. Anytime there's a scandal, anytime there's really anything happening in the U.S., there is usually, I don't even want to say usually, I'm not going to water myself down. Anytime you have a scandal or something like this, some type of widespread harm in the U.S., it is a fact. There's always a rich white man at the top waiting on his payout, right? There's always a rich white man at the top with his hand in the pot. That's what our capitalist society, that's the reality, right? So I started thinking, who is this bank? Because the crowdfunding platform, they can refuse to take it down because it's their website. The woman, of course, she's a racist. She's going to refuse to apologize, or she wouldn't have done it in the first place. But
right.
the bank has laws that they have to abide by. Like, of any funding source or any payment processor, any bank in this country, anything surrounding banking and financing and sales overall in this country, if you're accepting and processing payments, there are regulations you have to abide by. You can't just do whatever you want and be discriminating in a banking system. So I started thinking about that and decided I wanted to find who their bank was. And then it occurred to me, hey, this is a website just like mine. I have a retail store that's a website. And if you are accepting payments online, 9 out of 10, you have a third-party payment processor. And I realized that can be found. That's just a plug-in. So a plug-in on a website is really just like an app. It's an add-on. And any apps or plugins, you're going to find that in the HTML code. So that's essentially the breadcrumbs I followed to go and find that payment processor. I looked at the checkout page, didn't see it on the checkout page, and then I thought about it, and I was like, well, I know how to get to the breakdown, the HTML of this checkout page to tell me everything that's attached to it, including that plugin. So in your HTML, you can see where the images are attached. You can see the actual names of the images. You can see where they attach videos. Anything that is making that page function is going to be broken down in that code, because that's all the internet is. Anything on the internet, anything in a computer, it's essentially just a bunch of it's a bunch of codes working together to create whatever that piece of media is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, we're just we're up against news, traffic, and sports here, but it sounds like you, by that sort of technical forensics, you were able to find out who the bank was behind that. And when we come forward after news, traffic, and sports, we'll find out what happened next, the movements that came out of this, and how some of the built-in algorithmic racism and political bias has impacted you in this journey as well. All of that is straight ahead, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is firing back after a DOJ probe into his hiring practices. He says if diversity is the issue, the Trump administration should be investigated too.
My administration reflects the country, it reflects the city. His administration reflects the country club.
The DOJ investigation was prompted by comments the mayor made at a Southside church on Sunday, touting all the black people he has hired. 5 of 10 escaped inmates from a New Orleans jail are now back in custody. Louisiana State Police say Corey Boyd was taken into custody Tuesday evening. 5 inmates are still on the run after escaping the jail last week. And the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial picks back up today. Regina Ventura, the mother of Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura Fine, testified yesterday along with a federal agent and a male exotic dancer. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Game 1 in the NBA Western Conference Finals goes to Oklahoma City. OKC used a dominant second half Tuesday night to pull away for a 114-88 win at home over Minnesota. Game 2 in the best of 7 is Thursday night at OKC. Indiana and New York meet up tonight in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, 4 p.m. tip-off LA time. The Dodgers snapped their 4-game losing streak. They beat Arizona 4-3 in 10 innings. The Angels won their 5th straight. They beat Oakland 7-5, longest winning streak for the Angels since June 11, 2023. NFL owners voted Tuesday to allow NFL players to compete in flag football in the Summer Olympics here in LA in 2028. The Summer Games in LA will be the first for flag football as an Olympic sport. The Olympics are scheduled for July 14th to the 30th. That could be a problem for NFL players. Most NFL teams start their training camp within those 2 weeks. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again. Holla.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on. On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are two big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with Kiandria Demone. She's a disruptor, digital creator, an entrepreneur, a mom, and a marketing genius. This story has actually gone viral. I was happy to see it in some of the mainstream press. So you found out about this lady who was monetizing her own racist attack on a baby. Your own thoughts brought you to tracking down the banking site. And I've always found it very enraging how certain sites, GoFundMe in this case, this is a Christian site of Give, Send, Go, how they can, they'll platform, say like a Derek Chauvin and raise a bunch of money for him. But then it's a problem when somebody black is being platformed who is also involved in a controversial court case or it's the double standard is just astounding. So you go into the code, you find out who the bank or the financial institution that's processing these claims for the site, and then what happens?
So once I found out who was processing the payments, I took extra steps too, and I haven't divulged those just because there's been enough internet chatter anyway, and anything I share, they nitpick it anyway, right? So long story short, I took extra steps to confirm who this payment processor was. And once I had confirmed it, I posted about it on social media. Now, this is something, whether it got 50 likes, 10 likes, 1,000 likes, I wasn't thinking about that, right? I just know I have a community of people who are working together to fight back on a daily basis, whether we're dragging a racist person, whether we're calling these politicians out and holding them accountable. That is what my community online does. So once I found a way to fight back, I'm like, hey, we need to report the real bad guys. I posted about it, and it went viral, and we very quickly started to organize. We very quickly started to come up with a game plan and a strategy, because I have been seeing that missing piece to a lot of these protests, to a lot of these, activists that are, they're working. So it's not to minimize their work, right? It's not to say you're not doing nothing. It's not to say your protest is useless, but we need a strategic plan. We need something that's actionable. So I didn't want to just create all of this noise. We're going to do something about it, right? So I essentially created a dummy-proof document that they could download that gave them all the steps. It told you the story. It told you who you can contact. It told you how. I even gave prompts, like an example, like template of what you could put in your complaint. So we started filing complaints with that payment processor. And we filed so many complaints, essentially, that it disrupted their customer service flow and shut their shut their website down.
Wow.
So for 2 days, for 2 days, people who had this payment processor, they could not process payments and they could not log in. So we actually did disrupt their operation with this movement. And from there, that payment processor completely backed away. They denied the whole thing. That's one of the things, if you saw it play out, it was very obvious and very transparent and kind of silly the way that happened. But the initial payment processor, when I originally broke down the code, I saw Block Inc., right? So I went to do my research again to confirm, and I confirmed Block Inc. was found in this code. And I originally said, like, hey, all I know is Block Inc. is involved. so they could be processing the payment, or the woman who called the baby the N-word, she very well could be using one of their products for banking, right? I said that. But everybody was like, you know what? Let's just boycott them all. So Block Inc. was a parent company of Square, Cash App, Afterpay, and I think Tidal. So they just decided to boycott all of them. And originally that company, they acknowledged it. They said, hey, thank you for bringing it to our attention. We're investigating it. So there are like hundreds of people with screenshots and responses of them acknowledging involvement in this and saying they're investigating it. Then someone from compliance reaches out and says, okay, we're working to have it taken down. And then a couple of days later, they post saying they weren't involved at all, right? So by that time,
wow.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you read the statement that they made, they contradicted themselves. They just acted so guilty. Let me just say that. Like, I didn't just go in. I didn't just go in, like, going hard, trying to take that company down. I didn't have to. Like, people boycotted them and called them out, and they acted guilty. Block Inc. and Square essentially dug their own grave. I didn't have to do it for them. They acknowledged it. People were already sick of them. When we called them out, people were like, you know what? Frankly, I gave them too many chances. I hate Cash App anyway. Say less. I'm done. Everybody came out with stories like Square froze this, Square did that. Say less. I'm done. I didn't have to go hard for people to be done with them, honestly. But they came out and said that they said that what I saw in that code was older code. They called it legacy code. And they said what she saw was an old code from when we used to be connected a long time ago. But we they said we discontinued that business relationship in 2023 when Cash App used to be an option. So long story short, first in two paragraphs, first paragraph, they say we were never involved with this company. In the second paragraph, they say we discontinued that partnership in 2023, and Cash App used to be a form of payment accepted on there. So everybody was like, which is it, right? You're saying you were never involved, but now you're saying you cut ties in 2023, which also it's important to point out that they were active and involved when Kyle Rittenhouse was using that site. So either way, everybody was like, we call BS, right? You know, y'all can squirm and y'all can scramble and y'all can make up a lie, but we call BS. You know, we saw it. A bunch of people saw it in the code. That's one thing that frustrates me about this country and social media overall is that you can have thousands of people witness something. We can see something on video and they will outright lie to our face. And that's one thing that pisses me off. I think that maybe go harder is don't gaslight me.
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was saying don't gaslight me. I hate that. And that's one of the things I think I did get pissed off and go a little harder because I'm like, okay, now y'all playing with me. One of the things I say all the time is you can play, you are not going to play in my face. Stop playing in my face like I didn't see that. Like I don't know what I saw and like I didn't download and save that code. Like, why are y'all playing in my face? And I also gave other people the steps to find it. And thousands of other people took those same steps and saw y'all in that code. And now y'all are lying saying, oh, that was old code.
Right.
That was old. You know, it's just still lingering in there from when we had a business relationship that we never had with them.
So,
and I explained go ahead.
So that means now those folks are no longer affiliated with Give, Send, Go.
Correct. So they separated themselves. They did it in a very terrible way, if you ask me, but they separated themselves. And now we have confirmed that the current payment processor is Stripe. So the one who essentially stepped in and took over after Square got called out is Stripe. And Stripe has stayed completely silent about it. Like, they haven't given a response. They didn't deny it. They didn't acknowledge it. They cut their comments off.
Got it. But meanwhile, this lady is still raising money, right? Like, how? I mean,
that's correct.
So your strategy is to pressure the corporations that are enabling this and make it harder, because Give, Send, Go, even though it's supposedly Christian, is a private company.
Right. So the strategy actually was to hold them accountable, and that's holding them accountable legally as well. So I know there was a lot of chatter. There's a lot of chatter about she froze the funds. You know, we're making sure she doesn't get those funds. I was very clear in the beginning in saying just because we freeze the payment that doesn't mean they won't still give it to her. You know what I mean? That
Right.
we have to expect a racist to be a racist. They've been doubling down this whole time. Why would we be surprised if they make an exception to give it to her? So here was the strategy. What I do know about these online payment processors is that they're run by a machine. They're run by a computer or an algorithm, and enough complaints will trigger a freeze on that account. That is just a fact. That is how it works. It's detailed in their policy as well. You know, if you go and break down their policy or you go on their support page and read those articles, enough complaints on your account with Square, Stripe, or PayPal will freeze your account, and it will trigger a manual investigation. So that is what we did. We disrupted their algorithm. We reported it so many times that it essentially would trigger a freeze and get a human to come in and investigate, right? And in that investigation, we were demanding that they hold her to their policy. They have a policy that very explicitly states their platform is not to be used for hate speech, racism, or any sort of harm, whether it's something illegal, whether it's violence, whatever that looks like. So attacking and harassing a 5-year-old child with a racial slur essentially falls under all of that. So what we were doing is, again, holding them accountable. So you can't say, oh, it was a machine that did it. We didn't have anything to do with it. No, we want a human who works for your company to come in here and investigate this. And we want this human to hold this lady accountable like you've done so many other people, right? And should they choose to make an exception, because they very well could have, and it appears now that they have. Should they choose to make an exception, we need to start asking ourselves why and hold them accountable. And my biggest goal was to rip off that mask. So they can give her the money, they can send the payout, they can fund 1,000 more campaigns like that, but they are not going to do it silently. They're not going to do it quietly behind the scenes while we're sitting here looking at everybody else as if they're the bad guy, when your whole time you, this big corporation, is the one pulling the string. So my biggest goal was to expose them and hold them accountable. And we've done that regardless of the outcome of this specific. Yeah, regardless of the outcome of this specific situation, because there's just going to be another Shiloh Hendricks. But the fact is that we know who you are now. We know who you are and we know what you're doing.
Kiandria Demone is my guest. When we come forward, I want to hear about the Block Out the Hate campaign and some of the guidelines that you offer us, the consumer, on how to not encourage more and more hate, how to not fan the flames and be part of the problem. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like it inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Yes, indeed. We're talking with Kiandria Demone. You can find her on Instagram under her name, Kiandria. They're asking in the YouTube chat, Kiandria. Demone. She's got a lot of followers. You can be one of them. There's a lot of great information there. You started something called Block Out the Hate. And I was checking out your advice. It's really interesting because a lot of times when we see something hateful, racist, terrible, I know I do it, we react, we respond, we want to make a smart remark or debunk what they're saying. And that's not what you advise.
No, not at all. So, like you said, it's tempting. But what I realized is this is quickly becoming a trend. And it's not just Shiloh, which I'm intentional actually about not using her name. I think we should just call her that woman who did that thing. You know what I mean?
I picked up on that.
Stop making them famous. They don't deserve celebrity. They don't deserve, if anything, they deserve the backlash that they get, but they don't deserve the fame. You know what I mean? And I'm noticing that there are people who are intentionally now doing racist things, and that's what we were afraid of. That's one of the reasons I wanted to act, and that's one of the reasons we started a whole movement, because we knew, okay, this is just going to set a precedent. People are going to see, hey, this lady can get paid $700,000 or $1 million for doing this. I'm going to go do something, then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start a campaign, and people are going to fund me and give me money, right? And we do not want that. So one of the things I realized was that this needed to be a two-part campaign. So Square Up for Justice was the initial movement, right, where we went after those companies. But we also need to start silencing and starving the grifters that are trying to profit off of it, because we're pointing the finger at the corporations. They are the biggest bad guys, but there are some little bad guys out here too, right? And we can't ignore them. So whether it's a white person who does something egregious and racist and goes viral for it, let's stop making them go viral. Stop engaging. If you talk about it, don't tag them, don't say their name, right? And also, it's important to point out a lot of these people monetizing off of this widespread harm. These content creators that are using it as content, using it as rage bait, getting views, getting payouts off of it, but they are never being part of the solution. Let's stop supporting them too. So if you're going to create content about it, you need to actively be a part of the solution. Share the movement to stop it. Share the actionable steps. Share how people can and are making a change. Watch those content creators that are sitting there pretending to be neutral. We have passed the point of being neutral.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Campaign?
Yeah, that was your campaign. I was trying to look at it because I wanted to go back over some of the points that you make. You say, if you're going to do something about it, screenshot it. Don't share their post because then you're spreading their page and making them money.
Yeah, so we can go over the steps because a lot of those are from a technical aspect as well. It's not just like my personal opinion. It's my experience with social media, right? Again, these are all machines. These are all computers, and it is time we fought back using these machines. These are algorithms. If you know what to do, if you know how to act, if you know how to manipulate it and you know how to operate it, you really can fight back in these computers too, right? So a lot of those steps that I'm giving are technical steps that just the everyday person can take that can make a difference by suppressing. We want to intentionally suppress content like that. So don't comment, don't share, don't stitch it. When you see somebody saying something crazy, racist, don't check them, block them, report it if you can, because sometimes it's not going to be something that they're going to acknowledge, but whatever, report it and block them and move on. Don't give them engagement because the algorithm just sees it as engagement. They don't care if you're arguing with them. They don't care if you're calling, correcting them. They see it as engagement. And the way engagement works in the algorithm is the more comments, the more it's going to show to more people because the algorithm is assuming, hey, 10 people have commented on this in an hour. It must be really interesting. Let me show it to 10 more people. Let me show it to 20 more. And the whole time, this is 10 people dragging them. This computer does not care. The more you engage, the more it is going to get views, right? And we want to stop that. We have to starve them of attention. So anytime you see somebody posting rage bait, anytime you see somebody saying something crazy, block it, ignore it, and keep going. Now, there are some things that you're going to want to share your point of view about, you feel strongly about, or you do want to get the message out there. It is important to get the message out there because we need to be wary of these people, right? We don't want to just be walking among these monsters and not know who they are, what they look like, but it is key to screenshot it, screen record, whatever that looks like. Do not share their original post. The creators that's amplifying it, don't share their original post, don't fix them. All you're doing is giving them a bigger platform. I honestly believe it's not to blame the people who were outraged, but honestly, the reality is a huge part of the reason that woman was able to monetize verbally assaulting a child in that way is because all the outrage just gave her a bigger platform.
Right.
It brought on more racist people. I was seeing people in my comments that were like, oh, great, I'm going to go donate right now. Okay, we have to stop that. We fought back. We exposed the payment processors. We're not about to let every racist white person get a payday off our emotions. We're not going to do that.
So report, block, don't unfollow, don't comment. If you are going to comment, screenshot so it's only for your followers and not their followers to grow and grow. And
exactly.
And as far as you mentioned Square Up for Justice, which is the campaign to hold these platforms accountable and these corporations accountable, and then the Block Out Hate do you want us to be hashtagging these and spreading these ideas and campaigns?
Yeah, both of them. So you'll see me post, and I don't always use the hashtag because, as you mentioned earlier, these platforms are intentional about the things that they suppress. So there's some things that it's crazy to me that I can get called the N-word and get threatened every single day on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Threads sometimes. I can outright get called a monkey and the N-word, but God forbid I should encourage people to stop engaging in hate. So if you see me leaving out a hashtag, that's intentional because they're suppressing my content. But we do want the hashtags to become essentially a bridge that can unify us. Does that make sense? We want to find like-minded people. We want to make sure we can find the content if we're looking for it, we want to make sure we can find it. So hashtags are still necessary. They're just not letting me use them on my platform. If I use a hashtag like that, then it's going to get no views.
So you're basically saying you're being subject to some shadow banning. So if we don't see it on your...
Exactly.
I mean, because it is true. It sounds like it is true that the algorithm picks and chooses, and we've all seen that, what a political agenda. Real quick, Charles from 1-800-UNITE US is in our YouTube chat asking if there's anything that can be done to support the man that posted that video, feeling because he's hearing that guy's getting backlash, the guy who recorded the evil woman who berated the 5-year-old.
Yes, he has a GoFundMe that I posted it on my social media a week or so ago, but I've spoken to him directly to him. Like, I've been in one-on-one contact with him over the phone. And he sends his thanks for the support. Him and his family are still struggling because he is an immigrant. And the saddest thing about that story is the fact that he is an immigrant and he had the picture of America he had in his mind is not what it really is. And it's sad that this is the way he's finding out. Does that make sense? Because he chose to do that. He's like, I'm in the land of the free. I dropped everything in my homeland and I fled my homeland for a better life. And he came to America and this is what he came to. So that's the most heartbreaking thing, is just him being kind of flabbergasted. Like, oh my God, he really had no idea America was like this. So anybody supporting him, he does have a GoFundMe. I'm trying to figure out how I can get it to you. It's somewhere on my page as well.
Well, they can scroll through your IG. It's Kiandria,
Yeah, just scroll through or go to my thread.
Kiandria. Yeah, just find her and we'll find that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the conversation, and that information about shading out or blocking out hate, that can apply to anything, not just racist. Anything we don't want more of, we have to not encourage it in the algorithm, sounds like.
Exactly. And for the person who asked, I'll go ahead, and his name's Sharmake Omar, I'll go ahead and put his GoFundMe in my bio too, so that they can find it.
Great. Kiandria Demone, thanks for the great work you're doing, and thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much for having me.
Yes, I hope we'll keep in touch. I'd love to talk to you again. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got his Hump Day show, which is going to be amazing as usual, and I hope you're encouraged by the incredible work of people like Kiandria Demone. I encourage you to keep the conversations going on social media. I'm at DiPrima Radio. That's DIPRIMA, and then radio. And of course, KBLA is at KBLA 1580. Like my mom, Diane DiPrima, used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until tomorrow, stay informed, stay smart. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson is firing back after a DOJ probe into his hiring practices. He says if diversity is the issue, the Trump administration should be investigated too.
My administration reflects the country, reflects the city. His administration reflects the country club.
The DOJ